Hey, how are you doing, guys? This is Taku David from the Young African Network, and I'm bringing you more content where we are speaking to interesting people from Zimbabwe and Africa and their journey and their impact on the world. Today, I'm joined by Brooke Jackson, who's a stunning, beautiful, and lovely Zimbabwean queen who's represented the country at the highest stage at the Miss Universe Beauty Pageant. Brooke, how are you doing?
Hello, Taku. How are you? I'm so excited for this. Thank you for having me on your podcast. Wait, is it a podcast?
Podcast.
Okay, there you go.
Podcast.
It's like I don't know what these things are called these days.
I try my best never to put titles on things. So however
I
you
know.
consume this content, if you're going to consume it via audio, if you're going to consume it on the internet, if you're going to consume it on social media, I just say, we're creating content and we're having conversations and try not to put
Cool.
too much of a title on it.
Okay. It's
But
better that way.
yeah, speaking of titles, before we even go that far, I know a lot of people in Zimbabwe already know who you are. A lot of people in Latin America know who you are. But for someone who might be watching this and isn't very familiar with who Brooke is, outside of Miss
Yeah.
Universe, who is Brooke?
Wow, that's actually a hard question. But outside of Miss Universe, I am a qualified beauty therapist and fashion designer. I studied in Cape Town. I was there for 2 years. I was also a model. I was signed with one of the highest agencies in South Africa called Boss Models. And then my life led me to being crowned Miss Universe Zim. And it truly was something very unexpected. But I'm very grateful for it and the journey that's come with it.
That's great to hear. And we met at Miss Universe, which was amazing. Lovely soul, lovely energy, great team around you. Just take us through, your journey of the Miss Universe pageant and how you got started in it. How did you find yourself at Miss Universe?
Such a crazy story, honestly. So I was working full-time at a beauty salon in Zimbabwe in Harare, and a gentleman walked in and he was with another person, and we were having a conversation about the treatments I do and the products I offer. And mid-conversation, he asked me for a piece of paper. So I passed him a piece of paper and he wrote on it and he passed it back to me and he said, "Please, can you answer this question?" And I thought to myself, this is so peculiar, honestly. Like, why is he? This is so weird. And I said to him, why? And he said, just answer the question. And on the paper, it said, "What do you most like about Zim?" And I replied with the people without hesitation as well. Like, that's the first thing that came to my mind. And he said, "Give me more." And I said to him, "The people of Zim is the most unique aspect of our country. Like, you will spot a Zimbabwean from a mile away, and there's no one like us in the rest of the whole world." And he said to me, "Okay, cool. Please get a hold of this phone number." And he left a phone number. And throughout the whole day at work, I was contemplating whether I should phone it or leave it, or I don't know, because it was just like the whole thing was like so unexpected. So I didn't know what really to do. But then at the end of the day, I phoned the number and I said, "Hi, I'm Brooke. You don't know me, I don't know you, but a gentleman left me your number and I have no idea why." And she responded with, "Hi, Brooke. Thank you so much for your phone call. I am Tendai Hunda and I am the National Director of Miss Universe Zimbabwe, and we would love for you to audition." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Like, that sounds very nice." Because I wasn't really following all the modeling and the pageant industry within Zim, because when I left Cape Town, I almost said to myself, okay, my modeling career, like, that's almost done, because I moved back from Cape Town to come home to start working in the beauty industry. So I wasn't really focused on anything to do with modeling at that point. So I didn't know much about the Miss Zim. So when she said that to me, I wasn't taken back, because I'd heard about it, but I didn't really, like, it wasn't on my mind the whole time.
Hmm.
And then she said, "Auditions are tomorrow." So I said to myself, okay. I phoned my dad and my parents and I was like, "I'm going to go and audition." They were like, "You may as well go. You've got nothing to lose." So I went, and there was a judging panel of 7 judges. And I honestly went in like, I wasn't overthinking. I went in very open-minded because I really didn't know what to expect. And they asked me a few questions on what I think on like beauty pageants and a little bit about myself. And then a week later, I think it was a week or like a week and a half, max 2, I was in boot camp with 12 other girls.
Just like that.
Yeah, it was all very so quick. Like I didn't even have time to process really what was going on. But then I was in boot camp with 11 other girls. There was 12 of us, and we were in boot camp for a week. And then we had the finals, and then that's where I won. So it really was all such a quick process. And then from that point, a month later, I was at Miss Universe.
So fast forward a month, you're in El Salvador, Central America, a country
Yep,
that is I think very few Zimbabweans have gotten the opportunity to travel to. Tell us
definitely.
about the
Wait,
Miss Universe experience.
one funny story. When I was trying to organize my visa, we were going to places saying like, how do we get a visa to El Salvador? And they were literally like, no one has ever inquired about getting a visa to El Salvador. So we were like, so we're the first, so this is going to be chaos.
Yeah. No, it was also a challenge on my side to get there, but we got
Yeah.
there. And tell us about the whole experience. I know a lot of people saw the pageant side of it, but didn't get to understand that this was a whole holistic experience that went on over 2 weeks. So just give us a
Yeah.
bit of insight how that was and what you guys were doing there.
So for the first few days, it was excursions. So we were traveling around El Salvador in groups. We went, so we all had different excursions, but I went to the beach. There was like a private little place on the beach that they had set up for us, which was very cool. We went in a helicopter, my first time in a helicopter as well. So that was very, very interesting and fun because you finally see like the place that you're at from above instead of on the ground, like you're literally looking down, which is a whole different view and aspect of a country. So to me, that was like honestly my highlight 100%. And then yeah, a few other excursions for the first few days. And then the second week was all just rehearsals. We literally would sit from morning to evening rehearsing because there was quite a few, well, a lot of girls. There was 89 of us. The rehearsals took quite long because we each would have our chance to walk, and then we'd have to do our group, and then we had to do our choreography for the dance. So that was that. But definitely I would say that behind the scenes, it's a lot less glam and fun to what it all looks like, because with fun there is always chaos and hustle and bustle and all of that, which is life, I guess. But then on the final evening, it was honestly it's like literally a blur, because I think it's also a feeling of nervousness, also stressed and anxious. So you almost block out all the parts where you were feeling not like 100%. But on the night, I was definitely numb, like from head to toe, definitely. I can't even tell you the way I was feeling because I was numb. But my feet, definitely, I literally couldn't even feel my feet. I even said to the girls, like on days, I think it was after a week, I was literally like to them, why are none of you complaining about your feet? Like how I am dying and I all I want to do is complain, but I'm not.
Because it's
And
like
they were like,
3 hours
bro,
on your
so
feet, right?
yeah, from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Crazy,
It was
crazy.
crazy. And they were literally like to me, Brooke, we're so used to it, our feet are numb. And I was like, oh my gosh. Because they've literally been doing pageants and everything since majority of them have been doing it for years. Like that's what they've always wanted in their life. And for me, it was like a month before that whole month I'd spent in heels, whereas those girls had spent months and months and years in heels. So makes sense why they're used to it and that they didn't really feel numb. But I was in a lot of pain. But we pushed through.
Funny that you raised that. Being in the crowd or watching you on television, one would immediately think that this is something that you've been doing and preparing for the last 5 to 10 years, like some of these girls who've been competing in these pageants since they were children. What did they do? What type of preparation did you guys receive in training camp to prepare you to be so confident, to walk so briskly on stage in front of over 10,000 people in the auditorium and millions more at home. What sort of preparation did they give you to prepare you to be on such a stage and walk so confidently?
So at Miss Universe, they didn't actually train us in walking. It wasn't like, so our training in Zim, in our boot camp, we had a coach who was actually training us like how to walk, how to turn, how to move, how to, do everything. But at Miss Universe, they didn't train us at all. It was more just rehearsing. So rehearsing the choreography and rehearsing the whole segment, because there wouldn't have been enough time for them to train us how to walk. Like, you have to, I think also with it being Miss Universe, like, you already should know how to walk, like that's what they expect. So there was no training in walking. I do feel that with walking, it's either you've got it or like you don't, unless you spend years and years practicing it. But I remember in boot camp in Zim, so I was doing obviously high end and commercial modeling, which is very different to pageantry. And in boot camp, I was honestly so bad. Like, I spoke to my coach and he was like, Brooke, for the first 2 days, I was like, there's no ways this girl is like stands a chance. And then he said to me on day 3, this was after the pageant, after like I had won, and I just chatted to him, and he said on day 3 you literally just woke up with like this fire in you and like this determination, and you were a completely different person. Like, you had a complete different walk. He was like to me, I don't know what happened to you. And I was like, me neither. I think it was just your training from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. Thank you. But yeah, I don't know what like came into me for me to just get it like that. But I do think it was 100% from his training and late nights and no option really.
Yeah, being there, and again, I speak as someone who was on the ground, and just
Yeah,
understanding the popularity of pageantry in Latin America, in the US, in Asia, the Philippines, the passion that they have behind that space. How important
yeah.
was it that you were a Zimbabwean contestant at Miss Universe after Zimbabwe being away for so many years? How important was it for Zimbabwe to have you on that global platform, which is so celebrated all around the world for the
Oh
country?
my gosh, I think it was very important. Like, it was alongside the hopes and dreams of very many people in Zim. Um, and I'm just super honored, privileged, and so humbled to have been the one to have represented our country after 22 years, because I have always had a deep, deep love for Zim. And that's one of the reasons why I did move home, because this is where I wanted to be. And it was quite nice for me to, show the world a piece of Zim coming from me, especially with the deep, deep connection I have to our country, which I think every single Zimbabwean has. Like, there is just nowhere like home, and every single Zimbabwean can agree with that.
You did an amazing job representing Zimbabwe, and placing in the top 10 for the Voice for Change category as a Zimbabwean, and for it being our first time there, you not being a career pageant model, you did an amazing job for
Yeah,
them. And all of this
thanks.
amidst a little bit of controversy around you being a white Zimbabwean participating
Oh
and
yeah.
representing Zimbabwe at the Miss Universe pageant. So tell me, how did you take that personally as a person, as well as how were you able to take that and still represent the country with such grace and such pride that everyone across the racial divide was proud to have you in the end? So I think the naysayers in the end kind of got a foot up
Yeah.
their backside.
I feel that I didn't really have time to let anything get to me. Like, I had to be very mentally strong in that period of time, because I knew that Miss Universe was right around the corner, and I knew that if I had let the backlash and the negative comments and feedback get to me, that it would break me. So I do think that I did block, like, I did put up a wall. I obviously stopped like all notifications coming through my phone. I didn't go and look at any comments. I didn't go back to look at anything, because I know that even if I did look at it, so obviously I did see a few things which I think obviously still will always stick with me. But even if you try and block it out, it's still like in your conscious. So like there'll be a little space in your brain where it still is, where it will sometimes keep coming up. So that was one of the things. But also the other thing was that I feel that when you like don't let it get to you because you know it's not true. So for example, when people were saying I don't deserve it, like I'm not a Zimbabwean, I knew that that is not true because I am a Zimbo. Like I was born here. I have a Zimbabwean passport. Like, so nobody can take that away from me. So that's also what I like engraved into my brain and heart, was that this is who I am. And no matter what anybody else says, I wouldn't want to represent any other country other than my own, and that being Zim. So I think that was also one of the things that I just kept telling myself every morning. But yeah, I think definitely just not letting it get to you and knowing who you are is the best way to like get through that.
I'm sure it was just as hard for you to get an El Salvador visa as it was for me, you know. So that's as Zimbabwean as it gets.
I know, but we got it, so that's all that matters.
So, you know, what are the chances that we get a Miss Universe in Zimbabwe, that we get to host a Miss Universe pageant in Zimbabwe? I saw the amazing PR work that it did for El Salvador,
Yeah,
repackaging and
it's
rebranding their
ridiculous.
country. And this is amazing for a nation, especially a nation like ours looking to attract investment and tourism. What are the chances of
Yeah.
us doing that, and what groundwork do we have to lay to get our own pageant?
So I feel that one big advantage about Miss Universe is that it really does get each country's name out there, especially if you are the host country, because there's literally 89 influencers in that country posting about it for 2 weeks constantly. Like it's literally all over social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's everywhere. I I don't know about it being host in Zim. I think hopefully one day, obviously, you know, the problems we have in Zim, it's well known, and it's sometimes a struggle for people here. But hopefully that is the end goal for our organization. If hopefully the organization continues and everything goes well, and we keep partnering with some ministries. So Ministry of Travel and Tourism, they've already very interested in working together with Miss Universe Zim, or the organization. But yeah, maybe one day, just if we have to keep
Yeah.
praying.
So Brooke is coming to the end of her reign as queen, as Miss Universe Zimbabwe. What happens next for Brooke? What's in your pipeline? What are you doing?
So I hand over my crown on the 18th of May. My reign was cut by a few months because I was just chatting to the director, and I said to her, I think it's fair for the next girl to have a little bit more time than I did. Like I don't really want that girl to feel pressured and stressed the way I did to get everything prepared in a month. Like it was a short time. And so yeah, my reign has been cut, which is okay. Because it doesn't mean that my duties and roles as an ambassador will end. So that's the way I look at it as well. But there's a few things. On the 3rd of May, I will be launching my perfume brand. So that's very exciting. So that's something that's going to be beyond the reign. And I also do my own fashion line in October. I will obviously continue with my community and project work. I will be partnering with a corporate here who works with financial literacy and financial inclusion for people in the informal sector. So we'll just push each other's brands like that. As you know, my project is a very vast, like it's a very vast project. So I can't really do it alone because our informal sector is massive, and as much as I would want to help every single one by myself, every single person by myself, it's just not feasible. It is like a little bit impossible. So I thought, let me partner with a corporate who already focuses on these goals, and then we can work together. So that's something I'll be doing. And yeah, just really being an ambassador for Zim, you know, showing places like what I've been doing is going to lodges and marketing from that aspect and promoting the brand Zimbabwe.
I love it. I love it. Promoting brand Zimbabwe and continuing on the journey that you're already walking.
Exactly.
So you spoke about the next Miss Universe. What would you want to see represented in Zimbabwe? What type of contestant would you like to see, filling your shoes and selling the brand and the image of Zimbabwe? What kind of characteristics would you want to see up?
I would want to see a true Zimbo. So somebody who really, really, really deep down appreciates, loves, and respects our country, because she is going to be carrying that name across her heart for a year. And so she really needs to be truthful to herself about the way she feels about her country and not be doing it for herself. That's something I said right in the beginning of my journey to Miss Zim, was that I never, ever, ever entered for myself. Like, it was never a thing for myself. Firstly, I honestly never thought that I was going to win, because it was like just such a quick thing. Like, I just went in for the experience. But I think it did show through everything that how much I do love our nation. So that is something that I would want the next girl to have and to show, and that like essence to come across from her. Someone who is graceful, because like our country is, we are graceful people, we are peaceful people, and that also needs to come across in the girl's personality. And just someone who is kind and honest, and I think mainly someone who really deeply values our country as a whole.
Before we wrap up with you, Brooke, I just want to tap into your mind, and I'm very excited about your journey going forward. What
Thank you.
do you want? We know what you're doing, but what is your end goal?
That's a hard question. I feel like I've said that. The first question you asked me, I was like, that was a hard question. Now you ask me the last question, I'm like, that's hard.
Hey, you did this in front of 10,000 people before, so one shouldn't be that bad.
I know. Oh my gosh. What I want in life, if oh, I don't know. No, it's so bad,
That's
because I
okay
feel
too.
like, I think my end goal is definitely, well, so this is, I don't know. Taco, that's hard.
And it's absolutely okay not to have, a full, a perfect
like
idea of what it is. But
I'm such a
what
person
direction?
who, I'm such a person who almost just goes with the flow. And I know it's good to have goals and like set aspirations and goals. But I personally, in the stage of my life that I'm in now, I'm just like going as every day comes, because also for me, the more I think about the future, the more it can make me feel stressed.
Yeah.
But my end goals obviously are to open my own beauty salon in Zim, a high-end beauty clinic, as well as owning my own foundation, whether it be an orphanage or something to do with already my projects that I'm doing, somewhere along those lines. But that's basically like a little brief of what I would really like. That's what I see my life going into.
We'll be watching, we'll be supporting. If anyone listening to this wants to support you, wants to volunteer, wants to contribute to your cause, where do they reach you?
Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram,
Yeah.
Brooke Jackson.
Yes, because that's just the easiest place.
There you go.
I don't even know my number off by heart, so I couldn't even tell you that.
No, leave your number there. Leave your number there.
I
I
know.
know we'll have a lot of fans sending other messages, but yeah, leave your number there. So thank you so much, Brooke, for just this brief chat and getting to understand a little bit about you, a little bit more about you, your journey, what you're doing now, and what you want to continue doing going forward. And I think that you're going to do amazing things for the country and for the world as a whole. So thank you so much for your contribution.
Sweet.
And
Thank you, Tagu. Thank you for being there for me. Like, it was honestly one of the best things seeing you at Miss Universe, because like I hadn't seen another Zimbo. I hadn't even seen my mom before I saw you. And then when you came up to me, I was literally like, oh my gosh, my heart. I can feel like Zim in me. So yeah, it was really, thank you for coming. It was amazing.
Only a pleasure. We love to see young Zimbabweans pushing the boundaries, and one day we're going to lift the flag of Zimbabwe very high. Brooke, thank you so
We
much for
have to.
being on this program. You can catch us on YouTube at the Young African Network. Please like and subscribe to our content, and we'll be bringing more interesting conversations with young people, old people, Zimbabweans that are pushing the Zimbabwean agenda at a global level. I'm Taku David, and this is Young African Conversations.
Yay.